There was a lot of constitutional violations at the officer level.
There's this brotherhood, community kind of persona until you don't re-enlist.
Yeah, the VA wanted to,
of course,
put me on a gallon-sized bag of medicines. I refused. And so now I'm snot bubble crying all over again. And I look at my therapist and I'm like, I'm going into the Thunderdome and you got me crying. And I felt like I was being electrocuted. Wow. Full on electrocuted.
Welcome back to the Stay Zero podcast. I have Josh Wolf with me today. Thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I met you back in February this last year, and kind of a random happenstance. We were both there to, observe and support some veterans going through some healing and just connected.
Yeah, I almost didn't go.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, really, I'd signed up. I was going to come help, hold space for some people while they were running it. And got close to go time. I had other fish in the pan I wanted to fry. And I'm like, And my partner said, no, you should go. You probably meet somebody you dig. And then, of course, that's how it happens. We start talking and kindle a relationship and get going from there.
That's literally exactly I left that day. I was like, I was supposed to meet that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And, in learning about your background, you were a police officer for a while. You spent some time in the military and then kind of found your way to help and healing yourself. And so tell me a little bit about your background. What was the police work that you were doing? What
so it was probation and parole.
Okay.
And so I worked for the Department of Corrections for the state of Washington for 19 years and 7 months. There's two sides of Department of Corrections. There's the prison side where everybody's in custody, and there's the field side where we're helping offenders get out of custody, help them transition back in the community, and also to hold them accountable, for violations, new crimes. And so the last chunk of my career, I supervised the gang unit for the state. So everybody who's a security threat group member, high risk, those are my people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What were the challenges that you faced within that?
Probation and parole is a different animal because you're kind of a social worker, then you're also a cop. There's a bunch of little modalities in between you're trying to help, people with. Where it started getting bumpy was towards the end of my career. And, a majority of the officers were armed at the time. Now it's mandatory armed, but it was probably 75%. But they put policies in place to where we had to go basically serve warrants on these guys, right? That was in policy. And so that's policy, it's practice, that's what we're going to do. But I was going out and effecting warrants on high risk, known felonious gang members, different sets. And I had 3 to 5 people, soft armor, pistols. Maybe 2 of the people have never picked up a gun in their life until they got certified 4 weeks ago. And half of those people have never been in a fist fight before. So if you go to county and in city, they bring tanks, they bring hard armor, they bring long guns, they bring 4 times as many people as they need
to serve a
felony warrant. Yeah. And so we were mandated by policy to go make an attempt to find these guys, but we're doing kicking doors in CQB with people who never even fired a pistol, but their training day. And it put us in some compromising spots for quite a bit. And what was interesting is a lot of the rest of the department knew that it was wiggy and people weren't really doing it, but I was kind of a rule follower and these are guys and community safety. And so I bought into that. And so I ended up, was responsible for taking a lot of people in some places we shouldn't have been, and I had to come to grips and started speaking my truth about that up to command and how we shouldn't be doing these types of things.
What were some of the issues that those other officers were having? Were they freezing at the door, just not knowing what to do in the house? And you can speak to this a million. There's a time for us to discuss something. Hey, Josh, I think we should be doing this and this. We have time for that. I want you to bring solutions. Let's find better ways. But then there's also times when
I say do something, and it's fucking do it now, because lives are on the line. And so when you have people pausing, going through a door or into a room, or whether we should be out there not paying attention, just not really tuned in with what we're really doing, like it was some kind of like TV stuff. And, you know, we didn't get to pick. I had to take everybody in my unit. And some people had no business holding a gun, let alone going and trying to effect a warrant on somebody.
Was any of that thought about or considered when they were put in the position?
As far as into our unit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have, when I started being able to hire my people, because when I went in there, I had 16 staff, and within a year and a half, it was 100% turnover from support staff all the way through officers. So I was able to go out and get officers that were more built for that. But it had to be, they just couldn't be knuckle draggers. You know, you can get those are a dime a dozen, but I needed somebody that could handle themselves physically, but they had this and they had a mouthpiece to de-escalate, because we had 10 times more arrests in office, out of office than most of the offices in our region combined. That's like how high volume we were.
Were most of these pretty accepting of their arrest?
It's funny. That's a
or
great
was
question.
It expected to fight?
Yeah, it's one of my biggest brags about like the team I had, the officers I had. We had, I think in 1 year, we had 400 and some arrests in office, and we had 0.
What does that mean in office?
Like, so they'd report in, like to do a UA or check in with what's going on, and they'd either be in violation, they picked up new charges, something was happening where we had to take them back into custody. And we had 400 plus arrests and never had a use of force, ever, right? But then you go to the next lower down unit, and they had maybe 150 arrests, and they had 17 uses of force, right? And so when my team was really good, we had a good rapport with our clients, you know, firm, fair, and consistent. When they came through the door, there's 6 of us standing there like, going to do this the right way. And they're like, yep, yes, sir, here we go. We never had any issues.
That's a good show of force. I know I've talked to some officers that, like, when you know that there's something wrong or there's something sketchy, like, wait for backup. You get just one officer, like, people have a tendency to feel more comfortable fighting or running or doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
But if they look in their rearview mirror and there's 3 cars and there's 6 officers standing around like, fuck, all right. Like, I'm going to lose this battle.
Yeah. And and these aren't just like, they might be getting arrested for a dirty UA or some kind of low ticky violation, but we literally had guys get out of custody, report to the office the first time right out of custody. They show up with a gun on them. This was before we had like magnetometers and doing search policies. They came in, reported, left our building, and an hour later smoked somebody.
Wow.
And we'd have to go track them down. So it wasn't like it was just this, and we had hitters and really people who've done some horrible things.
What was it like working with those people or talking to them?
You know, there's not a high rate of return for success as far as recidivism. That's a high, we got like I don't know what it's like 70, 80% recidivism rate for offenders. And you had to put a different hat on, but literally trying to get to their level and talk to them where they were at in the midst of all the horrible things that happened to them as kids, where they're at now, and just trying to find that spark in there that you could kind of touch into and help bring them out of that to maybe let's do something different. So we always afforded them the love and care. We didn't ball bust people at all. Quite the contrary. We really had good relationships, but the nature of their crimes, they were not to be trifled with, you know, and we had to stay frosty.
You knew what they're capable of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You said you left 19 years and 7 months. That's right at the cusp.
Yeah. As I got into supervision and started climbing the ranks and was doing really well, I received a Excellence in Leadership Award. And it was pretty cool. Like, they don't hand them out that many. And they took me to headquarters, and it's a big to-do and a lot of fanfare, but it was the team. I had really good officers and they were killing it, right? And so that made the whole unit look good, and I reaped the reward for that. But as I got higher up, I started noticing things that weren't really jiving in our everyday with working with other offices, other departments. And it was corrupt, man. There was a lot of bad stuff going down. And at my 19 year, 3 months away from 20, I walked.
That's big.
Yeah. I felt like if I stayed, I was going to compromise my soul. And because they couldn't come after me because I was pretty wiretight and what I was saying was factual. It's true. I had evidence for things.
Did you not have any support as you were kind of like whistleblowing, or?
It was on the track to whistleblowing because I started calling stuff out. It wasn't an official whistleblower, but I was trying to handle it at line level.
Yeah.
Like talk to a supervisor. Hey, this person's doing illegal shit. Square them up. Well, the supervisor wasn't handling it and the administrator wasn't handling it. And when you get to headquarters, they didn't want to deal with that stuff. And so they would just push it to the side. So they actually brought me to headquarters for a time to kind of maybe bring me into the fold, gel me into that crew, quiet me down. And when I got to headquarters and saw it, it was tenfold. And I was like, not happening. No, I'm not being quiet about anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you say what kind of things you were seeing?
Yeah. So there was a lot of constitutional violations at the officer level.
Okay.
Right? You'd have an angry officer mad at some offender because they didn't like him or whatever. They would just put him in custody on a hold. No due process, no hearing, no finding of evidence, not why you're in there, nobody reviewing whether those allegations are true. And they would sit in there for 6 months to a year sometimes.
Wow.
And I started calling this out. I call a supervisor and be like, hey, this person, And then they'd push it off. Well, then I started calling the supervisors out because come to find out, a lot of them never came to work. Could never track them down. So the supervisor's not at work. You got 10 to 15 officers doing whatever the fuck they feel like. Nobody holding them accountable.
Was this during COVID or something? Or?
No, pre-COVID.
Really?
Yeah, COVID's when it got real crazy, but this was all pre-COVID stuff. And then I pushed it up to the administrator. And, at the time she was doing the best she could. She had a lot of area to cover. And so she did what she could. But so we had that kind of stuff. We had illegal hiring practices. I had the highest promoting office to go do specialty teams, like be on the marshals team or, specialty jobs. And they would forge signatures. They would write up drafts of recommendations for jobs that I didn't do because they wanted their person. Instead of like, if 3 people applied for my unit, I'm like, it's 1, 2, 3. These are the guys that are ready or gals that are ready. And they'd go with this one because they knew they could manipulate that one and make them do what they wanted to do more illegal shit. And so I call that out. That'd go all the way headquarters. Nothing would happen.
What would be their motivation? Was there money being moved around? Really?
Well, the hiring practice, so the officer stuff, just doing stupid stuff, no supervision, just out exacting their authority on people. Yeah. Like JV quarterbacks in high school. Ego. I got a badge and now I'm going to go do some shit, Then in the supervisor ranks, you had hiring stuff, you had mismanagement of staff, and then you get into the headquarters ranks and we're writing policy to save money, on putting people in custody, programming, everything that costs money. How can we trim that back so we don't have to pay so much? And that's a direct conflict with community safety and what we've been charged to do with helping these people.
Talk to me about like that decision. What, because it was 20 years would have been your official retirement, right?
Yeah. Well, so it's a big money.
What did you sacrifice by doing that?
Like financially or just emotionally?
I guess both. I mean,
yeah, like I said, it got to the point where all of my pushing, nothing was changing. It wasn't really hurting me because they couldn't do anything to me because I was squared away, but they started not promoting the people that deserved to be promoted. They didn't put the years and the time, the training, they were the best people. And so I said, well, I can sit here and be one of those old cranky dudes that you see, like that's been here for 30 years and is just miserable, hates the world, not doing his job, just collecting a check. And so I said, if I stay here, I'm going to continue to cap my people's ability to grow in the department. And so I just said, I'm done. I've been on FMLA because I had a knee replacement and I reached out like a Hail Mary, like, hey, anybody got any more time out there? Like I could use it. And, it was tapped out. So it's 3 months short.
What was the department's response to that?
Man, it was so crazy. I didn't hear from anybody.
Really?
All these people that had heralded me and you do this and you do that. By the time I got to that space, nobody, it was like 10-foot pole, you know? And like I sent the FA at the time, who, that's a whole different story, but he requested my badge to commemorate it and put it in a plaque and all that stuff, and found out he chucked it, you know? They never sent it to me because it was just like a little give back, you know?
Damn, that's shitty, man. That's fucking low down.
Right. It's a good thing I don't get caught up in that stuff, but
Yeah.
I could have been pissed off about it.
Oh, I see, man. Man, it's funny how, you know, police work, even fire department, military, all that, like there's this brotherhood, community kind of persona until you don't re-enlist or you find another job or switch departments or just get out of it entirely. And then you realize, like, yeah, I think a lot of that was bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's kind of playing pretend, and maybe, you know, you want to be, you know, on good terms with everybody on your truck because he may need to pull you out of a fire or back you up, you know, on a warrant or something like that. But it made it feel very fraudulent and disingenuous for me. And I had a similar situation when I got out of the Marine Corps, actually. I didn't get along with my platoon sergeant very well. And I remember we were leaving our third deployment, and he pulled me into the office and he's like, I wanted to tell you, you know, I put you in for a certificate of accommodation, which was intended to be like a kick in the dick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't really respond. I was like, all right, man. He's like, well, do you want to know why? I was like, I'm sure you want to tell me, you know, like you brought me in here to do this,
Right.
you know? And I knew exactly like our relationship, and he just kind of laid out all these complaints of, you know, what he felt I didn't do that he wanted me to do. And one of them was he gave my sniper team to a pig, a guy that hadn't been to sniper school, which was intended to, you know, rile me up. And I just didn't respond to it the way that he was hoping I would. And I was like, all right, man, like, I don't fucking care, dude. I'm getting out. Like, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah.
And then I hear from another staff NCO in the battalion that when he submitted that to the colonel was like, yeah, no, nothing less than a NAM with a V. And he slid it back across the table, and that fucking pissed him off.
Yeah, I bet.
And which admit I thought was pretty funny, and I was like, sweet, this will be a fun award to get, and, you know, just smile and go on and let that coal burn a little bit. But he held it through the rest of the deployment, through our coming home, doing ceremonies and giving out awards, and mailed it to me 3 months later after I EAS'd. I was like,
turd.
Whatever, dude, that's fine. But yeah, you know, when you're in it, everyone's brothers, and when you're out, you know, it's like, who again? That guy? Oh, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I didn't realize that till I've been out a while, but we lived, especially in my unit, because we had some awesome staff, men and women, both support staff. They were awesome, and we built this brotherhood. And it was we were a little tribal because we were doing higher rate of speed stuff out there with offenders. And when I left, you know, I thought, well, I'm still going to be in comms with all these people, and it's all, you know, flown by. There's like probably less than 4 people over 20 years of service in that department that I still communicate with.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. There's a handful that I hear from time to time. And that's where I was like, okay, like we were friends then. That was genuine. And it feels good when they reach out, but it is disappointing to think like how many don't. And it's all right. But so you also were in the Air Force, is that right?
Yeah. I was in college, had a child on the way, was at Boise State, playing a little football, going to school. And so I decided it was time to square up and get responsible. And I went into the Air Force, and got into the PJs for a hot minute and started that training. And then somebody kind of wiki leaked that I had screws in my knees from a previous ACL surgery in high school. And I remember the day Chief called me and was like, "Wolf, you got screws in your fucking knees?" I was like, "Yeah, Chief." And he just handed me new orders and I was out.
That sucks.
That fast. And so I went and did aerial delivery, doing shoots and rigging and dropping loads out of planes and recovering. And it was fun, for a couple of years. And then I blew my knee up training and got an honorable medical out at 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went into police work?
Yeah. Then I went into doing,
okay.
Yeah.
How was that transition out of police work back to civilian life?
Emotionally, it was awesome. As far as like not having that stress in my life anymore. And I was able to start doing the first scratching layers of kind of regulating my nervous system to being a normal dude. Right. That was when it first started because, we're always sitting in the corners and is that dude printing and, just always checking out the scenario. And I was able to start letting that go. But it was also the same time where I had a lot of emotional and mental health started coming up my last 2 years of being in the department. And so when I got out, that kind of spiked it. And,
what do you think was causing that? Was it work stuff that was starting to bubble up or past stuff that was starting to bubble up?
I think it was everything in my life.
Really?
It was all divine timing, right? Like I had been in anger management. I think first anger management class I was in, I was 12. And I've been in those all my life. I was just an angry dude, always fighting. But through all that stuff, I'd built up a pretty good toolbox of how to cope and deal with anger and get through and just not get arrested, And I noticed at work, I was starting to get short with people, short with my spouse, just public in general. And then my cognitive stuff started falling where I'd forget words, or my secretary, bless her heart, she would by Thursday, she would kind of take over for all my kind of administrative stuff because I was struggling, couldn't remember anything. And then I started having depression stuff kind of circle up, was having suicidal ideation come in. And this was around 2017, 18, somewhere in there. And it kind of caught me off guard because I had done so well forever, but my tools I had been using forever, they weren't working. And shit was starting to fall apart. And so at that point, we relocated and went back to Idaho and had probably a 6 month to a year break. Everything was kind of cool. And then it came back with a vengeance.
Really?
Yeah, full tilt.
What was that like?
So we'd moved to Idaho and I started dog training business. I was training bird dogs. I was really good at it, had money coming in. I'm working 2/3 of the year. I'm like, this is awesome. Everything was perfect outside. My spouse's job is crushing. We got a nice place. We're in Idaho. My personal job is good, but inside I was falling apart. And, I started getting into a lot of suicide stuff, and my lady at the time was traveling a lot for work. And so that would kind of exasperate, kind of kick me into even overdrive. I don't have anybody or I'm alone, And I fought this for probably about 1.5 years, 2 years. And then there was a stretch in the fall where it was every night, for 2 months.
What was every night?
Sitting on the edge of bed with a gun in my mouth, and I got lonely, real lonely. And I had finally said, I don't belong here anymore. I'm not from here. I don't understand. I don't feel like I belong. And I had a shotgun in my mouth, the edge of the bed, and my dog was there with me. And I pulled the trigger and I got a click and I just collapsed. I just fell on the floor like a bag of bricks, snot bubble crying. Hadn't cried since I was 18, really. And I was done. I didn't know what to do. And so I got a hold of my wife and I said, I need you to come home. And she got home and she was like, we're going to get you help. We're going to get going. And unfortunately, a couple of days later, she was back on the road again, because of work, the demands. And she was up there in the C-suite level. And So it was at that point I realized, man, that like no one's going to help me. Like she can't help me. My family can't help me. Like this is all stuff I got to do. And I really kind of turned inward and started on this kind of this healing path of unpacking all this shit that I've been carrying, and kind of made a major lifestyle change at that point.
Glad you forgot to load that shotgun.
Right.
Man. Oh God. Okay. So tell me how, okay, you made the decision, like, I've got to work this out. I've got to figure out myself. Where did you go from there?
Yeah. So first thing I did was I went to a place called the Brain Institute. And because my wife thought, she goes, you got to have something. She's like, this just came on so fast and so hard. And this is way above like anything. I mean, she's been with me for 30 years, you know, and she said, this is different. And so I went and started getting a bunch of testing, and they were like, yeah, man, you know, your frontal lobe is like 3-digit scores on size, and like 60 to 80 is healthy. And I was single digits, like 8, 4, and 2, like no activity.
Wow.
Right. And so you think about when you get fired up, your frontal lobe acts like brakes, where mine, it just goes offline. And so the bouts of anger, the flipping out, it's a natural thing. You see it in a lot of dementia patients, right? They don't have any brakes. And so through all my testing, they said, we know you have some degenerative brain disorder. We think it's CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, but you're not dead. We can't diagnose, but we're like about 95, 98%, that's what it is. And so they said, the problem is we don't know what your trajectory is. Is it this long cruising Frisbee toss, and you're going to be that funny old dude at 80 grabbing butts, not knowing who you are, or are you falling off a cliff right now? And so at that point, I got into hardcore therapy, found a really good therapist, started working out, changing my health, and really started trying to attack all aspects of my life to improve and just kind of get out of the mud.
Okay. Yeah. How long? So you changed your diet, you started exercising, you started getting some therapy. Were they giving you any medications for these things, or?
Yeah, the VA wanted to,
of course,
put me on the gallon-sized bag of medicines, and I refused.
Oh, all right.
I've not been a med guy, and it's like I've had 15, 18 knee surgeries and body surgeries, and I'm usually aspirin by the time I get home from the hospital.
I remember you saying you'd been shot before.
In high school.
You were shot in high school?
Shot and stabbed in high school.
Fuck around.
Find out, right?
Where'd you go to high school at?
Rainier Beach, Seattle, Washington.
Pretty rough town.
The school itself wasn't, I mean, yeah, it was kind of rough. It was in a rough neighborhood at the time. It's a little gentrified now. But when I was there, 87 through 91, that was the height of the gangs, Colors and Boys in the Hood and like gangster rap, and shit was always popping off. There was always shootings around the school.
Really?
So that stuff was always happening. We had major fights on a regular basis. And one night I just found myself in a space, and yeah.
Fuck, man. Okay, so what was working for you? What did you do that you felt worked? What did that path lead you to?
So I got with a really good therapist, right?
Okay.
And he, not only was he used to work in the VA and was high up there, but he's also Native American, and he works in like medicine work practice, right? So
what kind of medicine?
Like just traditional Native stuff, to their culture. It's not anything that he brought in the therapy space, but I know that dude carries some divine stuff with him, right? And I know it dropped in, but he really kind of helped me retool my kit, give me different things to do while I was walking every day, and how to cope with all this stuff. And I did that for about 16 months, hard, like intensive, and finally worked myself through and out of that.
What were some of the tools that he taught you?
So he spoke to me on my terms, right? Like it was all sets and reps. And it was, we would practice things on how to respond, not react. And we would reps and reps and reps and practice this stuff. And then when I'd go deal with, like, say, my immediate family and friends, I was like more like practice games. And then when I was dealing with everybody else in public or some real triggering things happening, that was game time. And so I was working this stuff at a low level, just like when I used to coach girls softball, right? We'd sit in the tunnel and hit to right field all night. And then we'd go scrimmage trying to hit to right field. And then the games, it was just natural. And so that was kind of how we built our program and my new tools to cope instead of reacting and, all the self stories that come with that.
So, like identifying what sort of things were causing those triggers, and then practicing not responding or reacting to them.
Yeah, and to back up, some of like letting go of a lot of the stuff that I would react to was kind of the first thing. Like, what am I really getting pissed off about? And 98% of it was my own shit, right? Like, it's just stuff I'm getting angry about. Nobody else is mad, just me. So how long are you going to keep doing this? But it got to the point where through those practices, I could almost always respond and not react. Sometimes I'd have a little sacred pause and not even say anything, right? So I was getting really good at that. And then things would happen in my life. I'm like, okay, we're doing it. I'm working. But even after that, I still had this like 25% that was still tucked way down in there that I couldn't get to. It was a block. And I figured there was something else I was looking for at that point. I've done all my talk therapy. My body's in shape. Unfortunately, my marriage of 30 years was coming to an end because we were just going through two different directions. That was a super hard thing for me. And so I had this little stuff in me that I still would bubble up. And so I started searching for different things to attack that.
Okay.
And that's how I kind of came to my healing stuff.
What things did you find to help you take that 25% on?
So I started looking at the veterans and first responder world, right? And this was everybody was like talking about microdosing. They were doing psilocybin, ayahuasca retreats, and I knew it was somewhere in that space.
Okay.
I just didn't know because I'd never done any psychedelics in my life. I was kind of a square, didn't really do drugs and alcohol, wasn't my jam. And I found a Sean Ryan podcast, and he went to Mexico and he did ibogaine and 5-MeO DMT. And I'm like, that's what I'm doing.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. And so I threw all my research. Everybody who's been, I'm cold calling people like, hey, how was it for you? Like, who are you? Right. And I would see interviews with different people, looked like me, sounded like me, crying at the same time I'm crying. I'm like, yeah, that's where I'm supposed to be. And I signed up to go down and sit with the Ambio 2 years ago because they seem to be the tip of the spear in the space.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about them lately. I know the Brian Hubbard and Rick Perry were on Rogan's, and then they just got that big grant from the state to start doing some research with it. Talk to me about your experience with Ambio. What has that been like? I don't think I've had anybody on who has been to Ambio before.
Mm-hmm. So Ambio is an extremely cool place. They're kind of split down the middle, right? Like you have they did a big research project with Stanford and vets and PTSD, amazing results. So they have this medical side to them, the research base, the doctors that are there, the nurses that are there, their skill sets above approach, right? Like they're just so good and they're so loving. But then you also have this other half where you're honoring the medicine that they're bringing in from Iboga and Bufo, right? And ibogaine and 5-MeO DMT. And so they stay to the letter of those medicines and the ceremonies that go along with them and respect it. So it's this nice blend of medical and kind of ceremonial spiritual. And they put it all into this program over a 5-day protocol. And it's changing lives, man.
That's what I hear. I mean, I haven't heard a single negative feedback from anyone yet.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your experience with that.
Yes. So, I went, I had a coach that got me on. She was amazing. She got me prepped over a handful of calls before I went down. And, we had some woo-woo stuff bubble up on the way down, and go down there and they pick you up in San Diego, and it's nice suburban. Everybody dumps on all these, dudes, tattoos, beards, operators and stuff. And I get on there and I'm stoked to be going, right? Like I'm so done with this shit that I'm packing. My lens was really wide open. And I get in the van, man, and I look at everybody and I'm like, what, are we all related? And nobody says shit to me. They don't even look at me.
Just dead face.
And I'm like, oh, it's going to be a bumpy week. Right?
Tough audience.
Yeah. So we roll across the border easy. We got a medical pass. We go to the house. And it's not like these Costa Rican villages out in the jungle, right? It's not like that at all. They just have these really plush, nice houses. Some of them are down the water in Baja. And the staff is there waiting for you outside. And the chefs were world class there. There's not a box of food in the house. Everything is organic and scratch. The managers of the house, the coaches, the cleaning crew, the nurses, they're just like, they got it dialed, right? And so we get down there and we have a little lunch and we're meeting with our house therapist and manager, and she's talking to us. And this was one of the first things where I said, this is going to be an interesting week, but we're sitting there. She goes, well, let's all have lunch and we'll say a prayer. I don't pray at that time, right? So I just grabbed the hand and ducked my head down. I'm like, I'm going to skip this, right? And nothing's happening. And I'm kind of going, man, it's so quiet. And I look up and everybody's staring at me. And I'm like, I don't pray. I'm not the oldest dude, the biggest dude, the most talkative dude, but they're all fucking staring at me like, let's go. And so I'm like, all right, man. So I say a little ditty. I start crying. These strangers. And I'm like, what's happening, man?
Thank you, God, for this spaghetti.
Right. But this was the first of these little hits,
Yeah.
the universe was doing for me. And so then we go that night or that afternoon, we go to a traditional Temazcal sweat. And I thought it was going to be in a teepee for some reason, but it was like in a giant pizza oven. Right. And, I remember Trevor saying before we left, he's prepping us and he's like, hey, you're going to do 3 or 4 rounds. By the 4th one, it gets super hot. So if you need to hop off the little seat, it's got a little seat inside the dome, get on the floor, get away from the heat, get your water. And in my mind, I'm like, whatever. Like, I'm going to leave it all on the table, right? And sure as shit, I'm in there, man. And we're in the sweat and it's like round 4 starting and the heat's coming and everybody's passed out. You can't see anything in there. Everybody's chanting to the 4 winds and spirit animals and crying. And I start getting woozy and I'm kind of doing the dark circle and I just, I go down and I'm on the way down. I'm like, it's going to hurt. It's got concrete on the floor. It's going to hurt. Right. And I can't even get my hands up. And I didn't know that the guy next to me, this big dude, he was sprawled out on the floor because he was having a tough time. And when I went down, I landed nose first into his belly button, right? And I've got hair and sweat and big man salt in my face. And I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. And he's like, no, bro, I'm your mountain. And I'm like, okay, well, don't let me hit the floor. So that was our first jump off, right?
You're about 1 foot away from a real awkward encounter.
I know, right? Slid a little too far south. It could have got sideways. And we come out of that and I pass out coming out of the thing. They had to throw me in the shower. And
Wow.
The lady's telling the nurse, like, keep an eye on him. And we get back and Trevor's like, you sat on the thing all 4 rounds? I'm like, yeah. And I go, why? And he goes, why? And I said, well, I want to get my money's worth. He's like, I'm going to have to keep an eye on you this week. I said, yep, hands down. And so that was our first big night. The next day we go in, we do some breath work. They're not trying to teach you to be a yogi, but they give you some skill sets to help calm yourself while you're in the journey and to maybe navigate a little bit. And so we did a lot of breath work. We did a lot of intention work with the coaches and circles and everything. And then that night we do our burn ceremony. And then we start dosing the ibogaine. Every 30 minutes, we take a capsule to your body weight. And at about 2 hours of that, it's time to go downstairs. And they've got this big, open, really warm space. They've got beds and, mirrors and flowers. And everybody's hooked up to EKGs. They got the Bwiti tribal music from Gabon, Africa, where Iboga comes from. And that music is intense. It's not like anything we know here. And people love it or hate it. My first trip, I hated it. The second time, it was music to my ears. It was beautiful. But the first time I was like, man, I was laying right by the speaker and it was intense. So we get in there and we're sitting on the mats and everybody's already laid down. I was the last one to come in and I'm on the mat for like 2 minutes and my good buddy next to me, he's already thrown up. And it splashes on my leg, and I'm like, oh, fuck, it's too close. And so I'm trying to scoot my bed to the side, and there's people talking to their spirit guides already. We got people throwing up, and I have nothing going on.
Wow.
I'm just sitting there staring in the mirror, and Trevor comes up, and he's like, you said you want to get your money's worth, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, don't lay down. Just stay in that mirror until it gets real. I'm like, okay, deal. And so I'm shaking that damn crotch. 45 minutes in, I got nothing. And this is standard Josh Wolf stuff, right?
Okay.
Like, I always need to be bonked on the head. I don't do well with gentle nudges and suggestions usually. I'm getting better. And about that 45-hour mark, I start hearing the metallic buzzing. That lets you know the ibogaine on board, starting to work in your system. And I had a ball of fire that started in my bum, came up my spine, and blew off into my head, and I was scared. I was like, oh shit. I laid down, put my mask on, and just laid down in my thing and started my journey.
Okay.
At that point, and then went in for 12 hours.
12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Was it scary at any moment, or?
No.
What was your first psychedelic journey, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't.
What did it feel like? What were you experiencing?
So it's interesting because you are there, you're present, you can talk, you have agency. With assistance, you can get up and go to the bathroom, but you're laying there with your mask on. I'm fully engaged in a journey. At one point, I'm fighting a stone 10-foot samurai. Okay. I'm engaged. Like, I'm moving, sand and blood in my mouth. I taste it. And then the nurse goes, Mr. Josh. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And she's like, we're going to switch your IV on. I say, okay, cool. Boom. And I'm back in. Right. So you're gone. Like, you're seeing stuff that's real as you're sitting here now. But then when you check out, you're also back to this space.
Wow.
And so it's almost like a lucid dreaming. It's not like 5-MeO where you're gone. Right there, you can kind of navigate. And so I navigated the space well, and I had some major revelations.
What kind of revelations did you have?
So I had my first kind of go was, I saw the ibogaine come down. I saw it coursing through my body. I saw it attacking my brain and my knees, like all my major like trauma centers. I had loved ones come through and friends, and it was like, check on this person. Cut that person loose. This person needs you. So I went for this for a while, right? And then I had some spiritual stuff come through. Like at one point, like I'm fighting a 10-foot tall stone samurai with a staff, and I'm getting wore out. Like, he's killing me. And he breaks my sword. He literally has my foot pinned on the ground, and I'm looking up at him. He's breathing. I literally could taste sand and blood in my mouth. And blue sky in the desert. And I literally was like, this is it. This is where I die. And I was like, all right, let's get it. Like, I was done. And as he brings his staff up to come down on me, I see this thing in the sky come barreling down at like a silver bullet, and everything went freeze. And I have this giant blonde Valkyrie, like warrior of Odin, and comes with this big sword and just dismantles him, and the earth shakes. And I'm looking up, and I'm looking at her, and she's jacked and metal and just gorgeous, and she just nods, and she was gone, And so
Wow.
I had a bunch of that type of stuff throughout the whole night. But my real big ones were, I went back when I was 3 years old. I was molested by my babysitter, an older teen adult female. And I've always had that freeze frame in my head for my whole life. And I never thought it really weighed on me, but there was things in my life that, seeing now, it did. But I remember being in this house and a door with a little light underneath, and I go, oh shit, that's where it went down. And then I have this presence next to me, and I'm like, do I have to go in there? And I thought it was my dad, because it was this just not masculine, but like powerful presence. And he's like, I don't know. Are you over this? And I'm like, I'm good. And he was like, are you sure? Because you keep asking. And I said, no, I'm good. We cruised down. He just pulled me out of there, and we're flying through the cosmos, And I'm like, I think I'm with the man. right? And so I started asking questions. Like, I don't want to pick the wrong team, And he's like, it's not how it works. Just have a connection your way. Everything else doesn't matter.
What do you mean by pick the wrong team?
Like, I was in this kind of, before I left, I got into spirituality in my 20s, and I was really chasing and looking at different religions, and the dogma of all of it just pissed me off and turned me off. But I think I've always had this internal spirituality, this want for more, this bigger than me, but I just kind of walled it off. And even my coach told me that. She's like, I've never seen anybody so spiritually connected and so walled off, like you're sitting inside of a safe, And so before I went down, I was having God questions or nature, reality. Why are we here? What's the point of all this? And so when I was talking, and I didn't know it at the time that to be God, I got it after my 5-MeO, but I'm talking with this presence, and they said, different religions were brought to people at different times over the existence of this planet for what they need at different cultures. You can do that if you want. You can have a relationship directly with Source or God or Creator if you want. It's up to you. You can't pick a wrong team. Just walk every day trying to connect with that higher version of yourself and the Creator, and everything's going to be fine. And how you find that. And so I was like, it made sense to me. I was like, oh, that's it? I would have done this a long time ago. Right. And so that was kind of my first, kind of starting to understand some stuff outside of me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so came through that, and I came out in the morning, and beautiful experience. I never threw up. Everything was just gorgeous, and
no nausea or anything.
Wow. I was fine. Like,
that's a gift.
A huge gift.
I've heard some stories.
Well, some of my buddies were in there, threw up all night.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you can call it out to anybody. There's definitely some patterns there, but I think the cleaner you are going in physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, maybe the less bumpy it is. I don't know. But I got up, and the doc was like, hey, you're feeling real good now. This is gray day. Just go back and lay in your bed and chill out. Get some food in you. Don't be moving around. I'm like, yeah, okay. And so I get outside the door. Nobody's looking. I start dancing, a little cumbia, right? I'm all excited. I feel amazing. And the nurse saw me, and she's like, Joshua. And I'm like, ugh. And she goes, no. And I'm like, what? And she comes and grabs me, walks me in my room, and sits me on the bed kind of like aggressively.
Smacks you with a newspaper?
Yeah. No. If she would have had one. And I looked at her, and I said, oh, Astrid, I'm sorry. And she looks, and I just started throwing up.
Oh, shit.
2 hours. 2 hours of and I had nothing in my system.
Why do you think that made you puke?
The Ibogaine. I was saturated.
Wow.
And you can't like, if you had a bad hangover and you roll over too fast, it was like that, but with don't blink too fast. You know what I mean? And it just came on. So I laid there in that suck for a couple hours, but gray day is supposed to be like that.
Okay.
And you just, some people feel great. Some people get up and go swimming. I wasn't that dude. And that's not usually the case. And so that day was all just laying in bed, nurses checking on you, IVs, pressing everything out of your system. But they also have Reiki, right? And I don't know if you've ever done Reiki before.
I've heard of it. It sounds like it's like an energy massage where I don't know much about it. Do they touch you?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes they lay hands, but it's basically I had done it twice before.
Okay.
With some Karen and Birkenstocks, and and it didn't jive, right?
Name's Sky.
Right. Yeah, Sky Starseed. And and I don't know. It was probably a combination of they weren't honed in their craft, and I didn't believe.
Oh, okay.
And so it just wasn't happening. But on Gray Day, they have a fabulous woman down there named Berta, and this woman and I, she's been a special part since then, but I'm just going to go and do Reiki. Okay, whatever. And so I'm the last guy to go, and I come around the corner, and here's this woman. She's got long flowing black hair. She's in her little medical scrubs. And Zach, I'm not playing. I stopped dead in my tracks, and I was frozen because all I saw was like Mayan high priestess, feathers, the whole nine. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? And for a minute, I'm like, is this Ibogaine? Am I having a reactivation? Because I'm stuck and I can't even make eye contact with her. And she's so gentle. And she's like, hello, Mr. Josh. And she brings me in, and I'm like, okay. And we lay on the table. It's like a massage table, and puts my mask on, and I'm trying to let go, because this is foreign to me, like the medicine and everything else. And all of a sudden, man, my left knee is on fire. I'm talking flame fire. And I pull my mask up, and she's got her hands like 6 inches above my knee, and I'm feeling it. She's not touching me. And I'm like, okay, this is real. This is absolutely real.
Wow.
And so I pull my mask back down. I get into my breath work. We start syncing our breath up, and there's stuff going on around me. We're like in a full on, like it's like a journey. Like I'm back in the medicine. And so we come out, and she looks at me and she goes, "What did you do?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "What did you do before this?" And I said, "Well, tons of therapy and this and that." And she goes, "All the guys that are here this week, they're all on the path of healing." She goes, "You are healed. Like you're in alignment and you're ready to go." And she's like, "You got work to do. It's time for you to go help others, And I start crying a little bit because, when somebody's telling you something cool about yourself and something in your deepest core that she touched it. And I'm like, yeah. So she's giving me a hug, and I'm crying, and she grabs me by my shoulders, and she like pushes me away, and I'm like, ugh. And she's like, "That's not from me, that's from God." And she, boom, pulls me back in and hugs me. Now I'm snot bubble crying, right? So I go sit in my room on the edge of the bed, happy tears all by myself. So we get through that. The next day we do massage, some more talking, and then we've got 5-MeO DMT.
Tell me, did you notice a change in your knee? Like, what was the deal with the burning? What was she doing?
Energetic blocks, right? So anywhere you've got trauma stored, whether it's physical trauma, emotional trauma, like after all my medicine stuff, I still had a lot of stuff coming out of my neck and my shoulder. After I left Ambio that first day, it's the first time I've woke up since I was 18. My body hasn't hurt because of football and head injuries and concussions, and my body's just had all these surgeries. And so energetically, I felt amazing, right? And so I think with as far as Berta, she feels where there's trauma, there's stuff still being stored, and she helps kind of excise and move that stuff out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you notice a change in your knee?
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, my knees have been good since I've had my knee replacements, but it had been swollen. I've been training harder again, lifting heavy, like leg press, and that would kind of tax, knee replacements and stuff. And so it actually helped me switch up how I train and how I work out, and just doing more functional body movement stuff now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that next day it's 5-MeO, and, they call it the God molecule, and they also call it ego death for a reason, and the group of guys we all kind of made a pact together, like, let's do both doses because they offer you two. And we weren't supposed to talk to each other as they come out because we're going to debrief at the end. And one by one, a dude would come out bawling, and you're looking at him, you're a little scared, and you're like, you can make eye contact, thumbs up, and then the smile comes. And they were all happy tears. It was beautiful, And so I go into my space, and I'm getting ready to walk in, and they fan me, and they're saging me and getting me all clear. And my therapist brings me around the thing, and she goes, "Look at that." And there's a easel whiteboard where it has all of our names from when we had Reiki. So what order we were coming in. And by my name, there was a little note. And I was like, what's that all about? And I look in there, and it said, "Welcome to the team, Joshua. You're a warrior of God now. Dragon Benton." And it was Berta had left me that message.
Wow.
And so now I'm snot bubble crying all over again. And I look at my therapist, and I'm like, I'm going into the Thunderdome, and you got me crying. And she's like, "Hey, Thunderdome." She doesn't know what I'm talking about, like Mad Max, right? And so you go in there, you've got your doser, you've got a doctor, I've got my therapist, and 2 other nurses.
Had you done any research on 5-MeO? Did you know anything about it?
Just what I'd seen on podcasts. I didn't want it because I'm a wormhole guy.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to dive off and really, I just wanted to know what was going on and then let it go.
Okay.
I didn't want to have any judgments going in, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And so you go in there, and, they serve you up. My first one, nothing's happening.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm laying there like, hello, got my mask on. Nobody's talking to me because they don't know what's going on in your journey. And so I literally pulled my mask up and said, "Nothing fucking happening." And they look at me, so they sat me up. And the doc's like, he's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, yeah, man. He goes, here. And he gives me a water. He goes, drink this water. I gave it back to me. So, all right, let's go. Give him another. So I went like kind of hyperventilate a little bit to really get that air out. And then I took a monster one in, bro.
Worked that time.
So you're supposed to count back from 10.
Yeah.
I got to like 5 and I was just like, ugh. Right. Fell back on the thing. And of course, the color spectrum comes, it's ineffable. Can't tell you what it is, you know? And Zach, I was literally laying there for about 10 minutes, convulsing, seizing, like full epileptic. Like, and I felt like I was being electrocuted.
Wow.
Full on electrocuted. And with the colors and the energy waves running through me. And there was not a stitch of pain, consternation, stress, or fear. It was just beautiful, like just energy rolling through me. And I had this moment where I'm like, oh, this is where we all come from. This is where we all end. And like that, like the fear of death for myself or anybody was gone. Like gone. Like right now, no doubt, you can't tell me otherwise. And so I was like, okay, so I rolled in this space for a while and it was beautiful. But then at the end, I started getting a little, it wasn't bumpy, but it started getting intense. Like I started, this mouth stuff started coming and the therapist is behind me. And I remember her going, let go, Joshua. And I said, I'm so fucking let go right now. You don't even know. Like, that's just me, right? And so I kind of land and, I'm like, okay, well, I'm ready for my second dose. And the dude's like, no, you already had your dose. And I'm like, no, the first one? He goes, you got 2, just didn't take. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of a little bummed, but whatever. So I go back to my room and I'm a little kind of pissed. And I'm like, what are you doing, Wolf? Like, you had this beautiful experience, all this stuff this week. Just let it go and take what you got, right? And so my therapist walked by and I said, hey, she goes, no, you already had it. And I'm like, okay. So I go downstairs, put my feet in the pool, the ground, about to have our circle. And I finally we've been fasting for 6 hours, right? And so I get my little bowl of fruit and I'm pounding that fruit. It's the best fruit I've ever had in my life. And all of a sudden the therapist comes out and she goes, hey, have you eaten anything? Shook my head, nope. Because I knew what she was asking because you can't have food on board. She's like, come on, we're going to do another dose. And I was like, fuck yeah. So I go running upstairs and they're all waiting in my room. And all the nurses are cool. The one dog guy, he was kind of a little Twitter-pated, right? I wanted to go again. And so right there on my bed, jump in, slide in, and everything is black. I mean, like black is black, like inside the womb black. And it was warm and comforting and soft. And I'm walking on this stone path with black and purple ferns. It was just beautiful, like so protected. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's the creator. Just slid in right in front of me.
What did it look like?
Energy.
Okay.
It like there was like an energetic body. I couldn't say he or she had blonde hair or was chubby or anything like that.
Human figure though?
Humanish figure, but energy, right?
Like with transparent light? Kind
of, yeah, with like kind of lines, radiant, glowing, like this is all pitch black I'm in. And it was like, whoa, right? And I automatically snot bubble crying. Like I knew exactly what was going down. And she's like, is this what you needed? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I love you. I said, I love you. And he goes, do you love yourself? I said, I do. I do. And he goes, I want to hear you say it. So I said, I love you, Josh Wolf. And he just nods. He goes, yeah, you're ready. You got work to do. And he was gone. And what I didn't realize is like, I'm thinking I'm in my journey, but as soon as I saw him in my vision, I'm snot bubble crying outside and having this conversation out loud.
Wow.
And so when I came back, all the nurses are there and they're all just sobbing. And they jump on me and they dogpile on the bed with me and hug me. And I've never felt that connected to the outside, the inside, to other humans in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, and the next day we had taco night, and the next day I remember Trevor like wishing us well, and I told him I'd be back in a year with some dudes. And he's like, yeah, okay, buddy. And a year to the week, I brought some dudes and came back for a second go.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the change, or did you have a strong fear of death before that?
Mm-mm.
Did it have a big impact on your life to feel like you really knew?
I didn't. It's hard because looking back at it, like I could say I wasn't afraid of death. I don't know how much of that was ego, like tough Josh or whatever.
Sure.
But I have a very different lens now. Like, it's not that I'm excited for people to die, but when I hear somebody dies, I'm not kidding you. Like, I got to be careful of how I react because I know where they're at. I know what's on the other side. And
That's weird for people.
It's really weird for
You're
people.
supposed to be sad.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm grieving that I don't get to enjoy them in this space or their loved ones and stuff, but I know where they're at. And they're good. They're just waiting for us, you know?
Yeah, I do know. I do. It's something that I've thought about. And, my dad's getting older and has dementia and is, that's basically the next chapter for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's changed for me as well. And I know that makes people uncomfortable sometimes when you talk about him, like, okay, they're going to die. Like, it's a good thing for them, right? Like, particularly at the end of your life at 80 and, you're practically bedridden and you can't communicate. It's like, shit, take me, right? Like, I'm not able to live anymore. This thing just hasn't stopped yet. But I do feel that, like, sense of I should keep it inside and for other people's sake, to not hurt their feelings or to not make them or make myself look callous as if like I'm a sociopath. And that's not what it is.
No, it's a knowing.
Right. I feel like faith has kind of disappeared because, like, to have faith or to believe is a choice that pertains to something that I don't know. Like, I know that table is brown. I don't need faith that table is brown. I don't have to believe that it's brown. I can fucking see it.
Right.
It's brown. Right. And so, yeah, to feel like, because I've felt that connection as well before, and it changed me a lot. Like, I felt like the pressure of what to do with my life, of this constant clock that's ticking on the wall.
Grind.
It was a grind. A lot of that dissolved, and it was like, dude, just enjoy this day.
Presence.
Yeah. And able to enjoy it without in the back of my mind calculating all the productive shit that I feel like I could be doing if I wasn't playing Nerf guns with the kids. I'm just playing Nerf guns with the kids.
Yeah.
And that's been really awesome.
Yeah. I feel like my three biggest takeaways from that first thing was letting go of that fear of death. Like, or actually not even letting go, but realizing what it is and what it looks like and being okay with it. The being present in everything that you're doing, kind of getting rid of the past, getting rid of the future, but just trying to live in that moment, and then loving myself, because had you asked me before I went down there, like, you love yourself? I'm like, fuck yeah, I do. I'm Josh Wolf. I love myself. Heck yeah. I had no clue what that meant until after the medicine. I'm like, oh, okay. This is a whole different
yeah,
thing.
There's a question I saw, I think it was on social media somewhere, and it was like, if I asked you to name the things or the people in life that you love the most, how long would it take you to say yourself?
Number one, I'm right out of the gate.
Yeah.
As soon as you said it, I'm like, me.
Good.
And with love, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like the whole, in the coaching practice, right? You're talking with people, they always say, oh, you got to put your mask on first. And if you really like dissect that, it's like spot on, because me first, then you with love. Because I can't, if I'm not being the highest version of myself, the best version of myself, loving myself unconditionally, I can't afford you that. And like my ex, I thought I loved her unconditionally throughout this time. I didn't realize that until after I got that I was way off the mark on that. And now I'm starting to get a better idea of that.
What does that mean to you to love someone unconditionally?
For me personally, to love somebody unconditionally is to provide them that love and acceptance of them with no attachment to a return.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing it to get it back. I love somebody and they blow up in my face. It's not my thing. It's just for me to present how I feel for them, and if it comes back, cool. If it doesn't, cool too. Like, it's been a major cheat code to let go of a lot of shit because I'm not doing things with a mission attached to it. Like, we do stuff for our family members and all that kind of stuff, but it's the same thing. You're holding the door for somebody. Going to Starbucks, you hold the door, you're just trying to be nice, right? As soon as somebody walks through and they don't even acknowledge you, 99% of people, because I know I spoke, what the fuck's wrong with you? You see me holding the door? I obviously was not, I had some attachment there.
Yeah, I used to toss a "you're welcome" real loud over my shoulder.
Yeah. But that's at the basic level, that's what it is.
But yeah, I went into it with the expectation of, like, I'm holding a door for you. The least that you can do in return is acknowledge that favor. But, like, that's fucking stupid. It is stupid.
It's so stupid.
It was dumb. But yeah, man. Fuck, I had a thought. Where were we in the story? So you said that you ended up coming back a year later.
Yeah, a year later.
Okay. What was your reasoning for coming back? Did you have a new intention? Did something happen in that year?
No. So when I got done with my first go, I shut down the dog business and just traveled with my dogs and myself for a couple months out in the wilds and, traveling, hunting, doing my stuff, just integrating, doing my personal work so that all the stuff I learned would become permanent while we got that neuroplasticity window.
How did you perceive what she had told you that you have work to do? What did that mean?
At that time, looking back, work to do to get myself ready to go serve others.
Okay.
I didn't know it at the time. I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know what it was. And so I spent that next year figuring out. And when I left DOC, like, I swore I was going to say, I'm never doing public service again, ever. And all I wanted to do was go help people now. And so, like, how do I do this? Right. And so I went back to school to get coaching trained specifically with entheogenic medicines. Right. So I went to a school and I did that and I got my Reiki certification and I wanted to go back to AMBO because some stuff had come back with some soul contracts, some stuff I had to, trim up, but I also wanted to optimize. When I went down there before, I was like at a -6 and I came back, I was like at a +2. Now I'm like at a +3, 4, right? And I'm going back in, but I wanted to like push. I wanted to expand my consciousness. My number one intention going down was how do I want to realize what gifts and talents I have to help others end their suffering. That was what I wanted to do. And I got that answer in spades, like hands down. It was
what was the answer?
So it was interesting. It was in between the medicines. So I wasn't in Ibogaine. I wasn't in 5. I mean, and both of those had bearing on what I realized, but I was on the Reiki table with Miss Berta again. And she stopped the session short and she's like, "You're special, Joshua." And I'm like, "Whatever, Berta, you say that to all the dudes.
All the gringos coming in here."
Right? And she goes, "No." She goes, "Everybody has an element attached to them how they carry, how they interact with people, fire, water, air, earth." And she goes, "You have all the elements in you and they're all balanced." And she goes, "You also have pain and suffering. You've been in the dark." And she goes, "You've also got stardust in you. Like you've walked in the cosmos." I know this is pretty out there, woo-woo stuff. But she goes, "You have all this and this is how you're going to help people." Right. And we had a very special thing that went down with another client when we were down there. And, I'll leave that to that space, but it changed my life forever. And there was no going back after that. And so I decided I was going to throw myself full tilt into the coaching and healing space however I could. And so I created my own private practice so I could coach people. I started volunteering at retreats for veterans and first responders, and I actually got hired by Ambio, and I work for them now.
Nice. Yeah, that's how we met, was helping out with the retreat. That's right. Wow. And so now, what kind of work are you doing for Ambio?
So what I do now is I'm a prep and integration coach. So just like I went down, if somebody's going to come down to Ambio and go through the program, you get them set up on the front side, hopefully a couple months out, and you start helping them prep to go into medicine. You know, what do you want to let go of? What are you hoping to gain from this process? And giving them tools so that they can have the best possible experience going in. So it's, you know, less bumpy. Some people need bumpy. That's fine. But helping them get ready and how to navigate that space and truly let go while they're down there so they can receive the most, you know. And on the backside, the medicine's awesome, right? But it's not a silver bullet. You got work to do. And so on the backside, we integrate and we help them take what they've learned and what they've felt and received and apply that in their daily life while they have this window of neuroplasticity to put new things in, and hopefully that's going to stick, right? And so, but like I said, battling that silver bullet thing for a lot of clients that's kind of like the number one thing I'm facing right now with clients.
People, I mean, it's kind of embedded into our culture. Give me a pill, doc, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fix me, and so I don't have to change any of my actions.
Right.
You hear that a lot with people coming to the medicine?
Yeah, what it is that, and because it's so popular now, right? Like it's,
I do. Yeah, maybe it's just my algorithm, but yeah, I see
it's
shit
everywhere
all the time.
Right. And what I've seen is maybe they're saying the right things topically, but they're not really digging in. And then when you get on the backside, man, the medicine doesn't, like, I know Ibogaine physically does some stuff at a cellular level and heals stuff. I know that my memory is way better than it used to be. My body feels better. But emotionally, energetically, spiritually, you know, you got to put work in when you get back, right? And so what the medicine does is it power washes you away of all your self stories, all the things that you used to use as permission slips, like, oh, my wife's not cool, not taking care of me, so I'm going to look at porn and blah, 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 right? That was your permission slip to go do it and not feel bad about yourself. Well, the medicine strips all those stories away. And so now when you come back, your windshield is crystal clear. So people can either jump in and start working, and it's awesome. You got the support. But if you're not willing to do the work, now all the horrible things you used to do to yourself and other people, they're still there, but the excuses are gone. The permission slips are gone. And now people are like, man, ayahuasca fucking ruined my life. Well, you've been 12 times in 2 years and nothing's changed, bro. So what do you think it's going to look like?
Yeah.
Right? It strips all that away from you. And so I'm getting better at identifying kind of those cats on the front side, but it happens.
Have you ever noticed that people that have been through a lot of traditional therapy seem to know what they're supposed to say?
Yeah.
I've had some friends almost boast that they knew how to game the therapist, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my initial response is like, why the fuck would you do that?
What's the point?
Like, why even go if you're trying to trick them into believing that you're making progress because you know what they want to hear?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have an answer. I don't know why.
I think maybe because
that confuses me.
They're not ready to really let go. Like, they know they've got issues. They know they've got baggage and trauma. So I'm going to go to a therapist because I feel like dog shit. But they get in that space and it's almost like sometimes it's a little gamesmanship, you know, or they're not really ready to dig in and let go. And we see that in the healing space, like, you know, on the weekends, or people doing some sound bowls, whatever we got going on. And so I actually had a Marine talking to a guy yesterday, and he's like, yeah, man, I used to tell the therapist everything they wanted to hear. And I finally realized that all I was doing was hurting myself and making it worse. But he came to that on his own. Nobody told him that. He knew he was doing it, but he got tired. And now he's like, wants to do work.
Yeah, it definitely seems like an individual has to get tired of their own shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really tired of their own shit,
Mm-hmm.
and want to change, want to face that pain, and before and maybe that's just reality. Like, nothing is going to change until staying hurts more than changing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and I've had to adjust my lens on that too, because when I went, like, I was so full open and tilt, like, I'm like, black 9 roulette wheel, let it ride. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Whatever comes, like, let's go.
Yeah.
And so I was a pretty open thing, and that's why I think my stuff was pretty smooth.
Was there anyone there that really struggled in your group?
Yeah, man.
What did that look like? Puking on your leg?
No, it was so two of my buddies on the second go around, there was 3 of us who'd been before. Everybody's really down with what they want. And there was three people that maybe they didn't prep as well. Maybe they were still holding on to stuff. Maybe there was some obligation to go. Like, they just really weren't fully invested, and they got broke off.
Yeah.
In the medicine.
What does that look like?
They were fighting the whole night. Like, I remember looking at my childhood friend, and he was literally holding on like the whole time. And we talked later. I'm like, what was so? He goes, man, there was this old tattered book and like an old beat up Monopoly game. And I'm like, that's it? And he's like, yeah, it was so intense, but that was his journey, right? It wasn't like it was a dragon eating him, or whatever
That's what it
else.
looked like outside, though.
Right. It's the feeling, right? And so
dude's riding Seabiscuit over there.
Exactly. And so one of the guys, he wasn't from the States. He's like, bro, that was the Hall of Terrors, and he had a bumpy go the next day, but he found what he needed, and the learning comes later. Some people, like my second go around, when I came back, I was pretty beat up for like 10 days. My first time, shiny, bright, happy. I came back and I was cranky because I was seeing like humanity's fuckery, right? Like, you go from there, go to the airport and you see people being super rude and, dismissing each other and stuff. And it just fired me up and I was angry. So it took me about 10 days to 2 weeks to kind of let that process out of me. And then I got to my glow and started rolling.
Wow. Did you do 5-MeO the second time as well?
Yeah.
What was that one like?
Yeah. So I, because of what happened in my ibogaine, and then I changed some stuff, and then I had my Reiki table, like, I switched up my intentions for the 5-MeO. And what it was I wanted to see or understand what I had felt in that moment with myself and Berta and this other client that we had shared. And I dropped in and I saw exactly what it was. It was basically my higher self. I've always been the answer. All the answers are within me. I don't need to check out anywhere. I got them all. If I need to lean on something outside of me, cool. But all I got to really do is connect with me and I'll get to it. Might take a little longer sometimes, but that's why, I really am into meditation and breath work, and it's a staple to my integration. And I try to push that on as many people as possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
What other kind of things are you helping people with? I know you said you're working for Ambio. Is there other stuff that you're doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to help anybody who's struggling, anybody who's been what we through. It doesn't matter if you're a veteran or first responder or so. I think everybody has something to gain from sitting in medicine if you're called to do so. I do. And so I go to retreats and I help sit with people at retreats, hold space for them while they're in the medicine, work with them, getting them prepped, and doing the integration work on the backside. And it's growing. I mean, people are coming and people want help, and so just trying to be, being available for people, and meeting them where they're at and helping them get through and having a good experience.
What do you say? I know there's been some progress, especially in the veteran community. Like, it's kind of all everybody's talking about. But what about like fire and EMS and especially police?
Yeah. So that's been kind of a little passion project. Because right now, like ketamine's really big, right? Insurances are starting to pay for it. And so what we're seeing in the first responder community, firefighters, chiefs, they're getting on board. They're sending their dudes and gals. They're like, you need help. Like, let's find somebody. Let's get you to Mexico, whatever. Not all of them, but it's open. Law enforcement, not happening.
Really?
Right? Because there's so many things at play there. So one, a lot of active law enforcement people and or their command, it's drugs. It's illegal, right? So that's the first thing. And then, law enforcement is so siloed off, right? Like, are you city, you county, you state? Okay, let's say you're city. Okay, now are you SWAT? Are you line? Are you admin? And so we have all these little silos, right? And then you finally get down to the dude that needs help, but he's so deathly afraid because if you show weakness, if you show that you got mental health issues, right? Or that you were out taking psychedelics and that comes up, if you're a detective, are your cases going to be questioned? Were you not of your right mind, right? So there's this huge liability piece for them. So I've been trying to work with a few people to kind of tap in to the law enforcement community and get them plugged into the resources they need in a safe place to go.
What would that look like? I mean, I could see, because I understand how they could make that argument, right? Like you had a crazy psychedelic weekend and then on Monday you shot somebody, right? What would be a practical SOP that you think would preserve the safety of the public as well as open up the door for that officer to go get some healing, have that experience, and then safely return to work? Week, take a week off, 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's spot on. Fabulous question, Zach. So the first thing is vet where you're going, right? Are you getting care on the front side and back side? If you got somebody that's, saying, hey, show up and we'll do this retreat with no prep and we'll let you go on, that's not a place to go.
Yeah.
You want somebody that's going to meet with you, talk with you, really get involved in who you are and help you get to some intentions to leave this old self behind. So the front and backside, making sure whoever you're working with has that. The other piece is that you need to take time off of work, period. So many people are like, well, I can go do 3 days, right? Okay, well, how important is this stuff to you? Like, are you truly like, is your life on the line right now? Because that's where mine was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I knew if I didn't change, that's where I was going. And so if you can do 3 days to come and, do some work at a retreat or whatever, give yourself some time to land softly. Give yourself at least a week. I even recommend people, if you can maybe go rent an Airbnb somewhere cool in the mountains or a spa or something, really pamper yourself and limit your contact with everybody so you can slowly come in and gently land. And then you start getting more comfortable. Because I know when I came out, I had like a wire antenna out of my head and I felt everybody and everybody's thing. I was so sensitive. It was too much. So I went up in the mountains literally for a couple of days and basically stayed at a hotel up there away from everybody.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was perfect. And that's why I tell you, you got to build in time on the backside of work. If you're dropping into stuff or, people get on that path and they're not checking, they're checking out instead of checking in, I think that can become a problem at times.
Yeah, I had a guy talking to me about it one time and he canceled wherever he was going because of child care. He's like, I just don't have anyone to watch the kids. I was like, you went out of the country last month to get drunk in Europe for a week and left them with your parents. That's okay, but you can't. Maybe that's not for you, bro.
Yeah.
Or maybe not yet.
Yeah. And that's that, fear.
Yeah. And I've noticed that quite a few times because I've had some people reach out and want to discuss this. They've either hear us talking about it or they just know me personally. And when the first opportunity when they only present excuses or problems of why they can't, I'm like, you're not putting any effort into solving those.
Right.
Like I can sit here and think of 4 different options that we could resolve that with, but you're not looking for solutions. You're looking for reasons not to do it.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah, you're just not ready.
Just exactly. You're not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But also don't blow fucking smoke up my ass. And, you know, I'm burning resources or I'm burning, you know, whatever to try to align this up for you. And you're batting them away and then telling me like, oh no, yeah, I really want to go. It's like, kind of doesn't seem like you do.
When you ask somebody the first time when they're coming and they're getting ready to go, well, what's right now? If you could just drop off 3 things and Zach right now, what does Zach want to get rid of right now? I'm sure you could go bing, bing, bing.
Yeah.
Because you're self-aware.
Yeah.
Right. And people are like, oh, I don't know. I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, then this ain't your party.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to jump into that? Oh, I want to see what it's all about. It's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You do not want to get a cosmic pee-pee smack because you were ill prepared.
Especially your first time.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it, because I've had some hard journeys. And if that had been my first one, it would have been terrifying.
Yeah.
I needed to know that I was safe and that it would end to get through some of those.
Well, we go back to that set and setting, right?
Yeah.
Like getting coached up, having the mindset, what are your intentions, and then going to a place where you have people taking care of you. It's a safe container. Their side of the street is clean. There's no kind of energetic interrupt right there. And they're just there to be with you and hold that space. That's what it's all about. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. Do you think that there is a realistic hope that it would be open to police officers, or is this just going to be an under the ground thing, or once they're retired, help them then?
I don't know, man. It's in like the LE world, it's a weird space, right? Like you see everything coming online with all the other stuff, and like Texas, and all this money, and they're getting ready to do stuff, and so I don't know if it won't be a thing until like maybe it's approved, like big pharma gets involved, and I don't know where it's going, man. I have mixed opinions about that. Like I want everybody to get help that needs it, but at the same time, if it gets like totally capitalized out and, you know, Pfizer's doing it, I don't know if it's going to be the same.
Yeah, I worry there that it just turns into a commodity and looks like the next Zoloft commercial during the Super Bowl, and you lose the spirituality of it and some of the ceremony of it, and really because a lot of it, you know, it wasn't so much the medicine experience. I probably could have taken that out of the equation, but coming in for, you know, a weekend or a three or 4 days to be surrounded by other people that are all struggling in a very similar way, have kind of reached a wall with their own bullshit, are comfortable enough to talk about that shit and what they're really struggling with in their life. And some of it's super personal stuff.
Heavy
and
dope.
The first person that opens up with something that's really like what you talked about, you know, a suicide attempt, you know, that really brings down everyone's walls, I feel. And it's like, fuck, I'm going to share my shit. Right. And then everyone kind of shares their shit. And then we do something hard that scares all of us just a little bit together, and we get through it. And then we talk about, you know, either what it was like, or the message that we got, or the takeaway that we received from that difficult thing. And like just in doing that with a community again, with other people, there's therapy and there's healing in that.
Dude, being part of the collective is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge, man. I mean, every time you go to a retreat or you're in that space, you see an outlier that hasn't really bought into it. And usually they get brought into the fold just by people sharing. Just like you said, being strong enough to share taps open to that person next to you that might not have talked, and then they feel safe, and then they able to process and start going. So you're spot on with that.
So you're supporting retreats and you're helping with Ambio. What other kind of things do you have going on?
Man, I wait 15 minutes
Yeah.
My middle name is Pivot, right? Like, I'm down here, I split time between Texas and Montana. My partner's down here and got the ranch up in Montana, and I'm building that up. And maybe someday I'll do retreats out there. But right now it's just, working with the AMBO clients. I got my private practice stuff I'm doing.
What's that like? What's your private practice?
So coaching,
Okay.
right? It's coaching. I do Reiki also, but just helping people in all life areas, not just medicine stuff, right? Like somebody struggling with work or relationships. It's coaching's a way different animal than therapy, right? Like I've done all that therapy stuff, and coaching, we're just having a conversation, just like you and I are talking right now. But in this space, I get to share personal stories, and so there's a bond and an example. And they go, oh, this cat's been where I've been, so maybe I'm going to listen a little, or maybe I just get to hold up the flashlight for you once in a while. I go, man, what's this all about, Zach? On a positive or a negative, and you can be like, oh, okay. And so that's kind of where spinning most of my wheels, and everything I'm doing is kind of trying to give back in that healing space. I've thought about all these little different projects I could do. Don't know what will land and where it will land, but it's a good space to be in right now.
I've heard AMBO's supposed to be opening up places all around the country.
Yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like. I mean, the demand is there, the growth is there. I don't know if it's going to be an international thing or when it becomes legal stateside, but man, how cool would that be? Right? Like I'd love to be a part of something like that. We'll just see how it all unfolds with.
I think it all kind of pivots on the federal government reclassifying, right? Like they've got everything listed as a Schedule 1, which means there's no even medicinal purpose for it. And I kind of, it frustrates me that they don't fix the scheduling. They just look the other way, because it's like that ace in the hole. If you ever play by the rules in a way we don't like, or you ever piss us off, or you ever don't put the right amount of money into my campaign, don't forget I can still hammer you because the law is still against it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's one of the issues that I've had with them using Ibogaine. It's probably the one that has the most physical danger because of the impact it has on your cardiac rate, right?
Yeah.
Your heart rate. And so there is some issue, which is why they have to have the medical staff, and it's why they have, all the safety protocol in line. And so why are they using the one that's kind of dangerous when we can grow mushrooms and cow shit in my backyard and there is no lethal dose?
Right.
And it has very similar. Now, I don't know if it has the same impact on like opioid addiction, but as far as depression and anxiety and all of that type of shit, all covered. And there's no risk with this one. But we ain't talking about that one.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about the one that still has an access monopoly through the medical risk. And so we might be losing some money through Big Pharma with our antidepressants and all the medications that shit might replace, but we're going to get it back because you can't get it anywhere but us. That weighs on me a little bit.
Yeah. It's man, it's a really weird space, because like when I was in Ibogaine, like my heart rate got down to like 33 beats per minute.
Holy fuck.
Right. And they're like, hey, we're going to juice you up. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like I feel I'm zenned out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I thought I was fine. I'm like, no, let it go. But yeah, you can't do Ibogaine without a medical team.
You shouldn't.
It's bad. It's all bad.
Yeah.
And so my heart is hoping that people do the right thing when it's come time. But I've been in the mental health, drug and alcohol space, either counseling or in probation and parole for 25 years. And every time a modality came out, like neurofeedback, they had like an 87% no relapse rate when I was in grad school, and they refused to approve it.
Really?
Because when you took neurofeedback with talk therapy and 12-step and you put them all together, 87% no relapse rate. But what does that do? We lose clients, we lose money, and now, and now the opioid stuff and all that jam, and the methadone clinics, and it's money. And I don't want to be like seriously conspiracy, but I think there's groups of people that don't want Americans healthy. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I was talking with this about this with my mom, and she actually made a point that kind of frustrated me in the moment, but she's fucking right. And she was like, well, think about where we live and think about how else would something like this grow if there wasn't a financial avenue to pursue it, right? If you couldn't charge anything for it, nobody's going to listen. They're not going to change anything because they're over there in their own grind, figuring out their own thing, trying to make a living and trying to build a business and here you're going to present them to something that everybody can just grow in their yard and convince them to open the door and destroy their own business. It's not going to happen. It's like, well, fuck, that should. Like,
but it should, right? Like, it's the same thing of doing the right thing when nobody's watching.
I think so too. And I think it would literally require the people in those decision-making positions to have experienced the medicine. Like, I would have lost all the dollars if you would have laid out politicians and said, one of these guys is going to be an advocate for psychedelics, and Rick Perry was on there. I'd be like, no fucking way.
Right.
Like, no fucking way.
He's championing it now though, right?
Yeah, I would have probably just looked at whichever Democrat was on the thing. I was like, they're probably the most likely.
Right.
But no, to see him jump on board, and then Brian Hubbard, man, that dude just needs to narrate books for the rest of his life.
He's a gangster.
Like, that dude's legit.
In a good way. Like, just how he talks and his hair, he's chill and he gets the message and you feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's super articulate. He sounds like a Southern gentleman. Mm-hmm. I enjoy listening to him. And he's been all over the place lately. I'm surprised he has time to do anything.
He's full tilt in it. It's his passion.
Good for him. I mean, he's making a difference. Being on Rogan's was huge, no doubt. But I really think that this stuff would and could change the world if we ever got it into enough people's hands and accepted widely enough into the culture where we all purged our shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I love this stuff so much. Like, I've even tickled the idea of going to Africa and doing it in its original, format over 5-6 days.
Do they, does that exist? Is that the thing? Oh shit. Yeah.
Not for the faint of heart, but that's a little Josh Wolf stuff, right? Like,
what's the most hardcore way I could consume this shit?
Right. And this is what I've always done. I'm getting better. I asked the cosmos to give me a little bit more discernment on that space, but every once in a while I'm still like, oh,
we don't have a doctor. We have a Bobo and he knows CPR. Oh, fuck. Yeah, that would be interesting. Have you done, what other modalities have you done?
As medicines or, so I've done pretty much everything out there except for ayahuasca.
Okay.
And that'll be probably my next sit.
Really?
Yeah. And, I'm working with a dude in South America on some healing work stuff I do now in kind of a different space. And he's plugged into some people. And when it's time and it all lines up, I'll go sit. But I'm not going to Arizona in Scottsdale. And this guy's got a yurt with 30 people in his backyard. And his name was Jack last week. And now he's like Forever Starseed.
Bluff Buffalo Man.
Yeah, not happening. But I want to go get in it. And
what have you, kind of, I don't want to say traps, but like what things have you seen in these communities that has really kind of raised an eyebrow that people should watch out for? Yeah.
So like when my partner and I, when we started, after we did our school, we had our journeys and we started like, how do we want to enter this space? We kind of jumped in all tilt. And within a couple of weeks, we saw some stuff that wasn't cool.
Like what?
The money grab is the first one off the top of my head. People rolling as many people as they can through a process or through a retreat and just stacking chips.
What do you think about how Ambio does it? They've moved a lot of bodies, right?
Yeah, Ambio moves a lot of bodies,
And
but
it's really expensive.
it's not cheap. It's not cheap, and the amount of infrastructure that they have, and how many houses, and the quality of staff that they have, you're gonna pay.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, bro, the nurses there. I've had 13, 15 knee surgeries and all this other stuff. The nurses that were there were tenfold the nurses I had in the States, and they were loving on top of it, right? So you're paying for what you get. So there's a monetary value there. But on the state stuff, you see, like you said, you see somebody with a yurt in their backyard, and we're going to jam 20 people in to do some ayahuasca. No, like, I'll go back. I met a gal who's introduced me, and she was going to leave for ayahuasca the next day. And she's like, yeah, hey, how's it going to meet? And I'm like, so what do you want to get rid of? Like, what do you mean? What are your intentions? What's an intention? Right. And she's just going to sit in this medicine with all these strangers. There's all this energetic stuff happening, no prep. And then you get into this space, there's something about what you share with other people, and they bring their stuff in, and you gotta be dialed. And so there's harm reduction that has to be involved. And I think people are skipping past that for the money. I think there's a status thing. You get on Instagram, everybody's some form of a healer and doing some wacky taffy shit. I'm not judging what they're doing. If that works for them, that's cool. I know it's not my gig, but you need to research like who you're sitting with and where you're going. Have people that have actually been there. What was your process like? What did you do on the front side? What did you do on the back side? How are you taken care of? There's been some assault stuff, and you get out of country. There's 5 MEO journeys all over, South America, and like coffee stands in some places. Yeah. I mean, hey, come sit with medicine here. They're not all like that, but there's just some kind of flying by the seat of your pants stuff out there. And that's like with anything new that comes in.
Totally. Totally. It gets trendy, and then it gets watered down, and everyone's trying to capitalize on it. And
so having saw that made us really kind of pause. And the other thing too, man, is like, if you're sitting with people and you're in that healing space and your side of the street isn't clean as a coach or a space holder, should you really be doing that? Like, I feel like my dad taught me this a long time ago. You got to be a student of the game forever. Whatever you're doing, be a student of the game. Because as soon as you think you've got it licked, it's a wrap. You need to get out of that.
Yeah.
Because you're not growing.
Yeah.
And I think this space is still the same. I meditate for 3 hours a day.
Fuck.
Hour in the morning, hour and 2 at night. And it's all check-in. Sometimes it's for clients, but 75% of it's checking in with me. Am I good today? Do I need to look at something? And sometimes shit pops up I got to address. That's just how I do it.
Wow. You don't have kids though, huh?
I do have a kid.
Grown kids.
She's 32 years old.
Yeah.
She's a grown-ass woman.
I picture myself in my office, and then my 10-month-old come banging on the door. Let me in. Like, fuck.
And your oldest has got a sword flying through
Totally. Yeah, I see the door crack open, and I hear a dart.
Yeah.
Right over my head. Yeah, it does. I could make time, though, and I should do better with that.
That the breathwork meditation, man, that was probably the single most important thing in my integration.
Really?
Yeah, and I learned that through the Wisdom Dojo.
Okay.
Amazing group of teachers and like-minded for veterans and first responders, and they broke it down to where, because I had tried meditation before over the years, and I just sucked.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, I can't fucking do this. This is not for me.
My head's just
right?
Yeah.
And they broke it down in a very Western way, like sets and reps. And learn about first of all, learn about your body, your nervous system, your mind, and then your heart space. And once you kind of get that skill set, you can start doing some stuff, and you can push into, to more traditional Tibetan stuff. And I've had a psychedelic experience on breath work with 12 other dudes.
I've heard that, and I would love to learn how to do that. And I feel like some of what I've done with you in the past, where like you taking a breath and then you clench everything up because you're trying to like trigger that pineal gland in your mind. And in my head, I don't know why. I always fantasize about what this could do in the prison system.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And they are doing it some places.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then also like, well, okay, well, if I ever went to prison, I know they're not going to give me mushrooms.
Right.
But if I could figure out how to trigger my own, and maybe I'll just figure it out when I'm in prison. Like, well, I'll wait till I get there, or I'll read a book or some shit. But like, or even on Naked and Afraid, like I'm in the jungle somewhere and I'm like, I don't want to eat that mushroom. I don't fucking know what that is, but I can trigger my own and tap in. Anywhere I am at any moment would be a fucking superpower. Yeah.
And you got a leg up already and you don't know it. Right. So my teachers at the Wisdom Dojo, they're really good at kind of explaining, when you start meditating, you've never done it before, there's no goal. You don't know. You can read stuff, but you haven't experienced anything. 5-MeO-DMT, that dissolving of ego and self, that's what all the yogis in India and the dudes sitting in the caves in Tibet, that's what they're going for, right? And so now you're somebody that's already touched and saw that. And so when you're sitting there in breathwork and meditation and everything is washing away and the thoughts are floating by like clouds and dissipating, all of a sudden, here it comes. You're like, oh, there it is. And like that, it's gone, right? But you felt it. You knew what that was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a retreat a few months ago with 12 other dudes, and we're in there chanting, and the energy's rolling around the room, and we got an intention, and I got cracked open. I had a full-on psychedelic experience with just doing breath work and chanting.
Are you still breathing during it, or as that kicks on, are you not able to have like agency anymore? Or
the agency I had was I knew I was in a chair.
Okay.
Right. And all of a sudden I had all this connection and light come from me to everyone. Basically what it was, at the exact same time, I realized like the bodhicitta, right? Like I had my heart broken open at the exact same time, right? And I just cracked open all this white light, love, pain, suffering, everything, and then nothing. It was just all white light. And like I said, the chanting's going, and then the teacher stops us and yells, and I yelled, and next thing I know, I'm just a sack pile of bricks crying on the dude next to me with big ass thighs. Moose, like I don't really know him that well. I'm holding on to him. He's holding me. And I'm like, damn, this dude's got big legs. But I come out of this cry fest and everybody's leaving, and I open my eyes and here's this retired cop from New York sitting on the floor waiting for me, bro. And I open my eyes and see this dude and start crying all over again. Like that's that type of brotherhood that we haven't had in a long time.
Yeah.
That connection.
Connecting over the healing then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I this recently trying to get back to that place. Like I find myself with my eyes closed, like trying to focus on like where I was being pulled, and like almost still feeling it. Like I was like, and I think I need an eye mask or something to block out the light or the distractions from it. But when I lay in bed at night, I still feel it. And it's exciting. It's a good feeling. It's almost like a euphoria. But
for me, I stole this from my teacher, but it's where I rest. There's this place I can go to now where it takes me, of my 42-minute session, it takes me about 25 minutes to get there, but I can get there and everything washes away and it's just the void. It's just black, calm, nothing. And then I'm just sitting in there resting. Everything is falling away. My job, myself, who I am, loved ones, the chair I'm sitting in, whatever. And then every once in a while, something will kind of percolate up. And I notice it and off it goes back down. But being able to tap into that every morning, it's a great way to start the day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you noticed clients being able to kind of follow that path? Like, are people having success?
The ones that are ready.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And you never know what like, I'll think, oh, this cat's so dialed and he struggle bus.
Yeah.
And have somebody go, this is not going to go well. And he kills it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've had to let go of my judgment of who I think is ready and where they know they're in their space. I just try to help hold that light for them, but the cats that I've seen dig into the breath work, especially after, having done like 5-MeO or Bufo, they do really well. And there's something about balancing out that shamanic route with the yogic route. Do you know what I mean? Like like you're at base camp at Everest, 5-MeO, you're in the chair, pull the lever, and you're to the top of the mountain. Your face getting ripped off, right? And then you're up on top of Everest, and you're like, this rocks. And you're about 15 minutes, then you're back.
Oh, okay.
The yogic route, the breath work and meditation is climbing up that mountain. One step at a time. No Sherpas, no ropes, just you. One step at a time. And it's the same path. We just get there differently.
Just a little bit of frostbite.
A little bit of lungs in the blood.
I need some O2. Yeah, I may pick your brain on, and is what's that breath work look like? Is it the inhale, like, are you constantly breathing? You don't pause? Or are you like box breathing? Are you flexing with that? Like,
yeah, so
what does it look like when you do it for an hour?
Right. So basically, specifically at the Wisdom Dojo, you get a coach and you meet like once a week or once every couple of weeks, however much time you need to work. And so they'll come in like you and I, and I'm going to walk you through this exercise. And this exercise is like, say, the belly breaths. It's all about clearing that pond, getting the big sediment out, really getting into your breath, letting your body settle. And then you work on that all week. And then next week, we get back on the Zoom and you demonstrate that skill set to me. And then we do the next skill set, right? And so then you get into, tracking your breath, right? They've oriented this. There's a reason why they do it the way they do, and I can't speak to it like they do. But, first we get into that body space. You get really good at scanning your body, knowing where things are at. Then we get into that nervous system, kind of regulating that, because a lot of us don't realize how, we've seen people that can't sit still and they're constantly on the wire.
Totally.
And then we get into the brain and softening that. And then last comes the heart space and opening that up. And once you start opening that up, that's when the game really changes, right? And so once you've done that process in the Wisdom Dojo, there's belts like blue belt, white belt, and you can advance. And then at some point, if you want, you'll get called to sit with the teacher and you get past the verbal tradition. There's no written stuff. This is lineage from them working on this for 3 decades, 4 decades from the masters, and bringing that line of Tibetan Buddhism down as far as it relates to meditation. And that's when you start getting into the nature reality of stuff. That's when shit gets real.
What does that mean?
Like, what is all this? Like, is this real? Is this table real? Is this real? Are you real? Like, why are you here? What is your purpose? You know what I mean?
I do.
Those
I
are
had
the
a
big
recent
questions.
experience like that.
Right. And so, but you get to do it kind of on your terms.
Oh, man. That reminds me of the Kung Fu show when they would pop up into the clouds. And I always thought that was so fucking weird. Like, what the fuck? They're all sitting Indian style in the clouds talking. Like,
It's going to be you in a few weeks. You don't even know.
I know, right?
See,
but I feel like I just made that connection. Like,
you've always known. They're all inside.
Yeah. Like I assume they were meditating in that, and that's what that was, and that's how they were depicting it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Being able to like sit down anywhere or even doing a walking meditation.
A walking, I feel like I would face plant.
No, man. Once you get dialed in your stuff, it's cool. You can do some really cool stuff and you can meditate where I can have a stressful situation on a phone call when I'm driving or something. I'll pull over and do some activation and I'm good, or deactivation, whatever I need to get me through the day, like real time right now. Or if I got a spance and I'm walking through the city, like I couldn't do this before because my situational awareness was always like, who's that? What's that? Who's that? What's that? And now I'm just like, I have nothing to fear. Like I'm just doing my space, and I can get into maybe something like riding a breath. I'm just counting my breaths while I'm walking. And my mind, I'm physically moving around. I have to pay attention a little bit, but I'm glazed. I'm just in that breath work, just chilling, resting.
Interesting. That's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty grateful to be in that space.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a wild journey, man.
You feel like it's just getting started?
I feel like it's like it's getting started, but it's also just nothing that even 10 years ago I could even comprehend.
Dude, 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. No fucking idea.
Yeah.
And
the things I do now in my spare time, like if you would have said, you know, you got some Tibetan prayer beads and, you know, you're donating this time meditation, and I'm using words like safe container and holding space. I said, man, get the fuck out of here with that. Yeah. Crazy.
Holding the space.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to like eat organically and eat clean. Like it's just different. It's just, it's a lifestyle, you know? And I don't have any stress, consternation or pain or who cares. I don't care anymore in a loving way, you know?
Yeah. It feels like more of a, I don't know, less, I said more and less, far more in line with what I should be doing and far less concerned with the perception of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And just like, this shit's real. It's changed my life for sure. I can tell it.
And I think you've seen it too, man. Like when you get on that healing path, you don't got to go talk to your buddy John and tell him, hey, you should do this and this. Just by you walking softer and quieter. And I don't mean like in a sissy status. I just more present, more calm. It radiates off of people. And the loved ones around you, like people, they'll want that. Like the relationship I have with my mom and dad now, crazy. You know, like it's in a really good place and we check in regularly. But I don't know, it's such a beautiful thing when you're just working on yourself, healing, and it affects the people around you.
Yeah.
And you might also rub a few people the wrong way. I've had that. I've been kind of cast aside by a close person because, you know, I wouldn't take Jesus as my Lord and Savior, right? I believe in Jesus. I believe in God. Try to walk like Jesus every day. I just don't see how everybody else sees him, you know? And I was like, you're going to hell for that. Okay, I still love you. I don't think that about you, but that's okay. You know, or a buddy of mine goes, you know, I kind of miss the old JW. I'm like, what do you mean? You know, he's kind of an asshole. You know, he's ready to pop off and got zingers and maybe he'd have a beer. And I'm like, well, you never really saw me drunk, so that one doesn't count. He's like, okay, that's fair. I said, so what you're telling me is you miss the asshole? And he's like, yeah. I said, well, with all due respect, like, what does that say about you? Like, where are you at right now? I'm going to talk to you later. Click. And he hung up. Right. And it's just you start reflecting back to people, the unhealed parts of themselves they see you healing and working on. Again, not an above or better. I'm right beside you.
Yeah.
But it's just we're walking differently.
Yeah. The best confirmation I think that I've noticed from my own, I don't know, integrations or whatever the hell whatever buzzword, has been the impact it's had on my kid. Where just me coming home with a peace and a calm that can't be shook. Like he tests it sometimes, but when he sees me seek more connection through that confrontation, as opposed to trying to dominate and enforce authority or obedience, he softens. And as I soften, he softens. And then he doesn't buck, right? Like I'm not throwing a saddle on him, trying to force him to do what I tell him to do. It's more like, hey man, like this is probably the better option. And I'd love to see you go this route. But if that's not what you want to do, that's okay too. We'll work through the consequences of you touching the stove right now.
Yeah.
You know.
And how cool is that he's starting to see that and get that at 8 years old and not 40.
Man. Yeah, I really hope that, man, if I had, and I don't know if I was ready, right? Like when I was younger and fucking piss and vinegar and just trying to stack bodies and see what I could do, you know, I wasn't ready.
I mean, I always like to, I tell myself it would have been cool to have this at 20, right? But the first time I left Ambio, I said to somebody, everything that's ever been done to me, every horrible thing I've done to somebody else has led me to this moment right here, leaving this place, going to do something different. And I needed all that to get to where I am, you know?
Yeah.
There's this analogy I talk with clients about the further you pull that slingshot back into the dark, the further it shoots out into the light, you know? And speaking back to what you said about your kid, we had a client just this last week that went and had lunch with his 10-year-old son and shared with us that how his son said, man, Dad, like, you're the same, but you're way better. And he's 10.
Wow.
And he goes, I don't know. He didn't know what his dad went through going down to Mexico or whatever. And he comes back and he's just like, he could feel it. It's palpable. Wow. So it's like your son.
Yeah, my son felt it for sure. And my wife. She's like, you're different. It's like, well, I'd hope so. If you had any idea what I just went through.
After that.
It was, fuck.
Cosmic.
God. Yeah, 10 out of 10 would not recommend the dosing. But
well, that was Zach's journey.
Yeah, that was what I needed to do, and found that left and right lateral limit, and we're just going to stay in the middle.
Sure, right there in the middle.
Yeah, man. Josh, thank you for coming in and talking with me today, man.
Thanks for
It's always a pleasure.
Me, I'm so humbled to be here and be a part of this, and hopefully it registers with somebody. And yeah,
even one, make it worth it.
I don't know. Thank you.
Any last words? Anything you want to share, or how people could find your services?
Absolutely. Thank you. A little professional pimp here, but sacredhealingwarrior.com is my website. And it's got all the services, coaching, and, you know, retreat stuff, and in that healing space. And if I don't have what somebody needs, I can point you in the right direction and get you attached to the right people. Most people in the space are a broker of sorts.
Yeah, there's lots of different nonprofits and charities that kind of help, because Ambio is like $8,500 or something.
It's big, right?
It's a lot.
Yeah, so there's some other ones. Yeah, there's some other ones out there, and there's little specific niches where people slide in. It's like only women, or only, you know, feminine or female responders, or whatever it is. There's space for everybody.
Cool.
And so, yeah. And if just remember, there are no bad trips. You know, you get exactly what you need, and there's no silver bullet, but the medicine will help you unlock those blocks so you can start healing yourself.
For sure.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it, buddy.